right, is that he had rented a room at a Las Vegas condo complex that overlooked another music festival in September that 100,000 people attended. Then in August, a person with the name Stephen Paddock had reserved a room at the Blackstone Hotel in Chicago, which overlooked the Lollapalooza Music Festival there. That person, though, never checked in. Do you have any sense that investigators are figuring out why? Why now? Why not? Why this time? When clearly he had considered others.
Well, obviously he's had some mitigating factor that I think about a year ago prompted him to start purchasing numerous amounts of guns and ammunition and go forward possibly with this meticulous planning. One thing we know for sure is it was premeditated, meticulously planned. So again, I think as we see a little bit more data that's coming off the electronics, as we talk to the girlfriend, as they call any of his other friends or relatives, we'll begin to paint a picture of who he was and what's inside the mind of a madman, if you can ever really get inside the mind of a madman.
And at this time, from your understanding, do investigators have any sense from your briefings as to what happened a year ago that caused him to suddenly start amassing what we now know is 33 firearms, including rifles, semi-automatics, in the past 12 months?
Well, what I do know about Sheriff Lombardo and his team is that they're going to do everything in the absolute perfect way. They're going to cross every T and dot every I, so when they give us the information, it's going to be correct. And if there are people who helped him, there were any accomplices, and there are going to be any further prosecutions, then we'll be able to move forward with that and be sure that we would get those convictions. So I want to wait till he gets his complete package of evidence, because I know it'll be just right. Congresswoman Rosen, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you. And next, the high-rolling killer, dropping $100,000 an hour on video poker. Was he a gambling addict, a psychopath, or both? Plus this.
Run! Go! 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 Everybody go!
New video of the shooting as it happened on Sunday night. I'm going to speak to the man who recorded this video and led people to safety. And the breaking news this hour, new details about the former spy, you know, the one who put together that dossier about Russian collusion in the Trump campaign. It's a CNN exclusive tonight.
Erin Burnett Out Front, brought to you by Victoria and Abdul. Starring Academy Award winner Judi Dench. In theaters everywhere this Friday.
People magazine declares Victoria and Abdul is now a people's pick, and it's terrifically entertaining.
I haven't been as happy as this for years.
Judi Dench is perfection.
Great to me.
Victoria and Abdul, based on the untold true story, rated PG-13.
Knowing where you stand has never been easier, except when it comes to retirement. At Fidelity, you get a retirement score in just 60 seconds, and we'll help you make decisions for your plan to keep you on track. It's your retirement. Know where you stand.
Now you can have everything. And your family can too. One of America's safest crossovers, well equipped for under $24,000. Coming now and get $2,000 cash back or 0% APR for 72 months on the 2017 Outlander.
It would be nice to stay in a cozy boutique hotel somewhere along the coast. Not exactly sure where yet. But annoyingly, on a lot of websites, you can only see results for an exact location you search for. Well, Trivago does it differently. On Trivago, you can simply use the map, explore the whole area, and as you move along, Trivago keeps showing you all the hotels that meet your search criteria. And that's one more way Trivago helps you find your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
Mom, I just saved a lot of money on my car insurance by switching to Geico.
I should take a closer look at Geico.
You know Geico can help you save money on your homeowner's insurance too?
Great! Geico can help insure a mountain chalet.
How long have we been sawing this log? 114 years.
Man, I thought my arm would be a lot more jacked by now.
I'm not even sure this is real wood.
There's no butter in this churn.
Do my tries look okay?
Take a closer look at Geico. Great savings and a whole lot more.
We are assembling a team to execute a rescue mission.
Sir, you have to let me fly this mission.
You will have to prove you're up to it.
However you want.
Valor, series premiere this Monday at 9/8 Central on the CW.
Do you see what I see? Here I am, playing on the world-class golf courses in India, walking through history, making friends. One minute I am traveling into the past, and the very next playing gully cricket. Before I realize it, I'm thrown into a lap of luxury. Hold my club, aim, and strike. This is my 8th time here, and it won't be my last. Do you see what I see?
If you have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, and your symptoms have left you with the same view, it may be time for a different perspective. If other treatments haven't worked well enough, ask your doctor about Entyvio, the only biologic developed and approved just for UC and Crohn's. Entyvio works by focusing right in the GI tract to help control damaging inflammation and is clinically proven to begin helping many patients achieve both symptom relief as well as remission. Infusion and serious allergic reactions can happen during or after treatment. Entyvio may increase risk of infection, which can be serious. While not reported with Entyvio, PML, a rare serious brain infection caused by a virus, may be possible. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, experience frequent infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Liver problems can occur with Entyvio. If your UC or Crohn's medication isn't working for you, ask your gastroenterologist about Entyvio. Entyvio, relief and remission within reach.
New information tonight about just how big of a gambler the Las Vegas gunman was. Investigators discovering a history of high-stakes bets. For the shooter, gambling was as much of a lifestyle as it was a hobby. In fact, he even said his income came from, quote, gambling when he bought a home for nearly $400,000 in cash. So what does this tell us about motive? Sarah Seidner is out front.
Authorities say killer Stephen Paddock was doing what he normally did in Vegas before his massacre began.
Yeah, we are aware he was gambling.
A retiree, he was living off real estate investments and had long been betting big money at casinos.
Steve was a big fish at the Atlantis in Reno.
Eric Paddock, Stephen's brother, witnessed just how big of a gambler Stephen was when they visited the Atlantis Casino Resort and Spa in Reno.
I mean, we took over the whole top floor of the hotel. That's already in the record. My family, he brought us to Vegas and to Reno, and we took over the whole top floor of the Atlantis Hotel. This is how he was. This is the kind of gambling he did.
But he had also been spotted at high roller events in Las Vegas, according to Vegas insider Anthony Curtis.
What does it mean to be a high roller? How much do you actually have to spend to be in that category?
It's kind of interesting. The high roller strata is different for different places, but when you're talking about the sort of places that Paddock played, you've got to be a really, really big bettor. He was playing 25 denomination video poker times 5, so he was betting 125 a hand, playing at a rate of about close to 1,000 hands an hour, 800 to 1,000 hands an hour. So he was running $100,000 through the machine every hour.
Paddock's game of choice, video poker.
What kind of a player do you have to be if you're using video poker as your way to try to win big?
Well, video poker is a subset of the slots, but it's like a thinking man's game. Because instead of just pulling handles or pushing buttons, you have to make decisions. So video poker is for people who want to think and try to change the odds and put them in their direction using their head.
So meticulous, well-informed, intelligent, mathematical?
Yes.
Curtis says video poker is a game that would be attractive to loners. And Paddock was not known to socialize with other high rollers, though they recognize his picture. But Paddock certainly managed close relationships with at least one person, his girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley, who worked at Atlantis as a high-limit hostess.
He loved her.
He bought her a ticket home to the Philippines and even wired her $100,000 sometime before the shooting, according to her statement read by her attorney.
While there, he wired me money, which he said was for me to buy a house for me and my family. I was grateful, but honestly, I was worried that first, the unexpected trip home, and then the money was a way of breaking up with me.
He was clearly planning something much more sinister. A shooting, she says, she knew nothing about. In the end, he killed more than 50 people and himself. But authorities now say it appears he initially planned to survive and escape. Still, with all that authorities now know about Paddock, the details do not answer one important question. Why did he do it? That remains a mystery.
And the sheriff has said that there is a possibility
that Paddock may have had help, and he wanted to make very clear that the investigation is nowhere near over. Aaron?
Sarah, thank you. And I want to go now to retired FBI agent James Gagliano and UC Irvine professor of psychiatry and human behavior, James Fallon. James Gagliano, let me just start with this. Las Vegas, the gambling capital of the world, he was a big gambler. They're talking about $100,000 an hour.
Absolutely.
Does this give us any window into intent, motive, anything?
And we're now 4 days into this, and it seems like the more details come out, the more baffling it becomes. I mean, this guy operated on opposite ends of the continuum in so many different ways. We hear that he was wickedly smart, and he had parts of his life compartmentalized and acted normal, other parts where he resembled a recluse. He's clearly a sociopath, right? I mean, obviously he had enough malice in his heart to hurt people, and that's what he wanted to do. But the methodology, how he went about doing it, the planning process, the scoping it out, obviously going to different venues that took so much time, the accruing 33 weapons in the past year, it just sets a pattern of somebody who, yes, had a grievance against somebody or something or a group, and then something triggered him, but it wasn't something that happened Monday night.
No,
or Sunday night.
No, it wasn't. And I want to get more to that. But, you know, James, when you listen to the brother shooter, he talked, the shooter's brother, he said that he was an expert gambler. And I just wanted to let you hear it in his own words. Here he is.
Steve knew exactly how you were supposed to play. All of the games that he was sitting anywhere near. He played multiple machines at a time. He would look, I mean, he might look over and tell someone, you know, you really wanted to hold those other cards. Because he didn't care if they won, too.
James Fallon, what do details like that tell you about the shooter?
Tells me this is somebody who takes great pride in being able to handle numbers, odds, and almost has a narcissistic view of it, like he knows more than anybody about this. But if he felt for years and years that he wasn't appreciated, his genius wasn't appreciated, and his ego was damaged, he could be one of these people who's the angry loser. So he's not a madman, but a mad man. And so this can build up. And somebody with an addiction, like a gambling addiction, murder also can be addictive if he's a psychopath. But we don't know that. We don't have any biological psychiatric information on him. But he does look like somebody who is probably felt like a loser and wasn't appreciated, and he's going to get even with the world. And this, you can see this with terrorists and other sociopaths who are getting even.
And James Gagliano, this issue of help. The sheriff in Las Vegas says, you've got to make the assumption he had to have help at some point. That's his assumption. That's what he's saying. Obviously, sources tonight are telling CNN he didn't have an accomplice. How do those things fit together, if they do?
Again, it's baffling because he apparently had a fairly intimate relationship with the girlfriend, and yet the girlfriend described him as kind and giving and knew nothing about this other world from what she says.
Right.
Now, there's ways around that. We can certainly ask her if she'd take a polygraph. We can certainly follow some of the other leads, and every day more and more leads are being
You're just saying, if you take it at face value right now.
If you take it at face value right now, have there been mass murderers in the past that have worked and led a compartmentalized life where friends, family, co-workers had no idea? Absolutely. But it does defy credulity. How could he have gathered all these weapons together? How could he have lived this type of life and nobody have noticed anything? And Aaron, we were talking before the show, maybe not an accomplice, but an unwitting accomplice. Somebody that helped him purchase guns, not knowing what the end state was going to be. Somebody helped him get the ammunition, helped him train to use the bump stock, because, you know, somebody's got to show you how to do that. So in that manner, yes, he could have had help, and that person may not have known what they were doing.
Right. Although, of course, you would think if someone wants you to learn how to use a bump stock, you know, something should have gone off in your head. I mean, there are questions there. James Fallon, what about the issue here of what we've learned now, right, that he had reserved a room through Airbnb at the Ogden condominium in Las Vegas, which overlooked the festival with 100,000 people just a few weeks ago. In Chicago in August, a hotel room booked in his name. He doesn't appear to have checked in, overlooking the Lollapalooza Music Festival. And now we're learning that he had 50 pounds of explosives in his car, and they say that he wanted to live and continue with attacks. When you put all that together, more attacks planned, scouted other possible venues, but chose this one. What do you make of it?
Well, that's predatorial behavior. So that predator behavior is like a psychopath, and they don't want to be caught. But I think in his case, he figured out the odds that he would be caught or stopped. So he was willing to die. But he was he may have been trying to go out in a bigger way than his father, who was a psychopath, but in a small time, sort of psychopath, nonviolent. But it would seem to me that somebody who had that planning, and he was so proud of his ability to read the odds, that he would have done that. The chances of me living and killing more are X, and that's what I'll do. So that follows with that. But he probably thought there was a good chance he wasn't going to get out of there.
Right. All right. Thank you both very much. And out front next, this.
Go! Keep your head down. Go!
We have new video tonight of the shooting and the heroic efforts to get people grievously wounded to safety. The man who recorded these images, credited with saving lives, is our guest, and a man who took 3 bullets to save his wife, one of them still lodged in pieces and shrapnel in his shoulder. We're going to go with him and return to where it happened.
At Farmers, we've seen almost everything, so we know how to cover almost anything, even a red-hot mascot.
Whoop, whoop. Hey, you're on fire! You bet I am.
Dude, you're on fire!
Oh, yeah!
No, you're on fire! Look behind you!
I'm cool.
That's one way to fire up the crowd. But we covered it. Talk to farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Getting to know you, getting to know all about you, getting to like you, getting to hope you like me, getting to know you, putting it my way.
Know how your DNA connects you to the world. Know more about you and the 23 pairs of chromosomes that make up your DNA at 23andme.com.
On October 13th,
you want freedom, you have to fight for it.
We all need Marshall. Critics are raving. It's an inspiring call to action. Marshall, rated PG-13.
What does life look like during your period? It's up to you with Tampax Pearl. You get ultimate protection on your heaviest days and smooth removal for your lightest. Tampax Pearl and Pocket Pearl for on the go.
For Woodford Reserve, quality is what we're judged against. If we aren't great, nothing else matters. Quality. It's our Woodford way.
How do we say that this fall our guests can earn a free night when they book at choicehotels.com and stay with us just 2 times?
Fall time, bada book, bada boom.
Pumpkin spice cookie?
I'm good.
Book now at choicehotels.com. Anthony Bourdain is headed to the French Alps.
Oh, let's go. Oh.
All new Anthony Bourdain Parts Unknown. Sunday at 9 on CNN. Listen to Tony's exclusive playlist inspired by the episodes, only on Apple Music now.
Rue has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. Together, we can end her walk by providing clean water. Because when you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
Connor is struggling in school.
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. This is what it feels like for kids with learning and attention issues. Redirecting to understood.org.
Connor is struggling in school.
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. This is what it feels like for kids with learning and attention issues. Redirecting to understood.org.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Tonight we have new video showing the chaos as people, normal people, do extraordinary things, scrambling to save the lives of those hit in the Las Vegas massacre. In a moment, I'm going to speak to the man who filmed this video as he was racing to load up his truck with people who were injured and get them to safety. I warn you that the video that you are about to see is graphic.
I got two GS deputies. Come here, put him in your car. Yeah, let's bring him here. Okay, I'll take him to the hospital.
I got multiple gunshot wounds right here.
Okay, let's get him in the truck. I'll take him to the hospital. What's that?
Wait. Does he have a ride?
No, I'm just in my truck, so. Bring the guy in the chair with the chest.
There's two here. And one there.
Right here, come in here. Come here on this side, right here.
Hey, go in there.
He has to stay with me. He has to stay with me.
Lay down.
Come with me. Get all the way. No, we got some people. I'm taking the shot people.
Leave him with me.
I'm taking the people who are shot, dude. Where's the guy with the double shots?
He is. Right here. He's still in the hospital now. He has a through in his arm and he has a shot in his left side.
Anybody else?
One more.
Get in the truck. Get in the truck.
Get behind the wall. Hey. Ambulance right here.
Line in. Please say a command.
I got 5 wounded.
One second, man.
Hey, we have one critical with a gunshot wound in the chest here.
Someone help me, please. Please.
Out front now, the man who was driving that truck, Raymond Page. He's a traffic systems technician for Clark County. And Ray, thank you for talking to us. At that moment, as you're putting people into your truck, people who are bleeding, people who have just been shot, what are you thinking?
At the time, I was just thinking just to get as many people as I could that were in the area and as quickly as possible. And I knew they were shooting from, well, I say they, I thought at the time there was 2 shooters, but I thought the gunfire was coming from the Mandalay Bay, so my truck was facing that direction, so I wanted to get turned around and out of there as quick as possible.
Ray, we also have video of you running toward the gunfire. You were directing hundreds of people to safety. They didn't know where to go. They were running. You were telling them to get down, where to go. I want to just play a portion of that.
Run! Go! 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 Everybody go! Go! Run! Keep your head down! Go! Keep your head down! Go! Run! Keep your head down!
Ray, what made you run towards the danger, tell people what to do instead of trying to run to safety yourself?
Yeah, it sounds a lot scarier now than it seems like.
I mean, you sound so calm, your voice there, and you have authority. You're telling people what to do at a moment where people are desperately looking for someone to tell them where to go, how to be safe. You're filming this. What was going through your mind?
I think it was more just reacting to what was happening around me. When I first started walking that way, I came up to an officer and he was with someone who had his was shot in his foot, and so I had asked him if he wanted me to stay with the person who was shot so he can go, and he wanted to stay there. So then all those people started exiting that out of those few doors right there, so I just obviously didn't want them to go the wrong direction, so just helped them know which way to go.
So you stepped up there and helped so many people go the right way. I mean, you know, Ray, your recording is very hard to watch, in part because it lasts the entire attack. And I think all of us have had trouble understanding what 9 minutes means and what a few seconds and then a pause and then a few seconds of automatic machine gun fire, automatic rifle fire sounds like. And I wanted people at home just to hear how often you came under heavy fire.
down, go! Keep your head down, go! You guys go! 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 Run that way, go! Go! Straight down! This way, keep your head down! Keep your head down, run that way!
Ray, were you even aware? I mean, I don't know how that sounds to you hearing it now. At that time, were you even aware of how many rounds were being fired?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, because you can tell when he was taking breaks. So when those people were coming out, I was trying to stop them from going until he had taken another break, and then we would try to get more people through.
And as those people were coming through, many of them were injured, Ray. I mean, you helped save one man who had been shot in the arm. Of course, you were loading all those people onto your truck. But when this man who had been shot in the arm came, I want to play for people exactly what happened at that moment. Again, I want our viewers to understand that this is graphic.
I need help. What's wrong? I've been shot in the arm. You've been shot? I need 911. I need an ambulance. Okay, come here. Try to keep your head down. Let's run this way. Go, 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 go. You have a tourniquet on? Yes, they put one on me. Say logo loud. I need the ambulance. There ain't nobody here to help us. Where's the ambulance? Yeah, hold it up. Hold it up.
Hold it up above your heart. Is that tight enough? Johnny! Johnny! Right here.
Someone have let me see that shirt.
He's got one on it.
Put some pressure on it. What do you got, the elbow? No, the forearm. I got my gut hurt so. You got do you have your shot in the gut?
Somebody have a flashlight. Don't worry about it. Can you see? I think it's tight enough.
Oh, it's tight. Shot here?
No, it's not.
He's got one in the chest. He's got an upper rib cage, chest.
I do got one?
An upper rib cage. It went through your arm, went through the rib cage.
I'm medical.
Kill the light off. Here, put this on his chest.
The chest ain't gonna do it. It's a chest wound. It ain't gonna do nothing. But this is gonna stop.
Hang in there. Hey, I need you just look at me.
This is really hard to watch. I mean, how hard is it right now not knowing what happened to the people that you tried to help save?
It is hard watching that or listening to it. I had one of the guys who was shot in the arm and in the chest, his cousin texted me and said she was going to pass on my information to the family members. So if they contact me, he was still in intensive care and critical. So yeah, I'd like to know what happened to him.
Well, I hope you do, and we hope that he is okay. I know it will be a very long and hard road for him and so many others. Of course, some of them saved thanks to the help that you gave. Ray, thank you.
Thank you.
And next, we have more breaking news. The president making some bizarre and cryptic comments moments ago, surrounded by his commanders, talking about this dinner being the calm before the storm and a mother's anguish. She's keeping a vigil at her beautiful daughter's bedside as that beautiful child fights for her life tonight.
Tina's a great kid. She has
Why did you want to have your baby in the U.S.?
She can be whatever she likes here.
When they come to the United States, they see what we have here, and they feel their dream can come true.
This is Life with Lisa Lang, Sunday night at 10 on CNN.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. Many people with Medicare may be able to get extra benefits and don't even know they're available. You may be able to get dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage included in your plan. Call the Medicare Coverage Helpline to see if you can get the extra benefits you deserve. The Medicare Coverage Helpline is now accepting calls. You may be able to get extra benefits, including dental, vision, and prescription drug coverage.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Buchwald.
making sure you go to the doctor and taking all your medications as prescribed can help protect your health. To make it easier, you may now be able to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that includes coverage for dental, vision, and prescription drugs. Help protect your health by choosing the right plan for you and get all the benefits you deserve.
Call to see if you may be able to get extra benefits, including dental, vision, and prescription coverage. Don't miss the annual election period deadline for Medicare Advantage. Call now. Call 800-779-8200. That's 800-779-8200.
Top critics agree.
Man versus woman.
Battle of the Sexes is dynamite.
Let's play.
Emma Stone and Steve Carell star in one of the year's best pictures.
I just want to thank you for your bravery and your balls.
Battle of the Sexes, rated PG-13, now playing everywhere.
One day I'm chewing a piece of hard candy and my 2 front teeth snapped off. My teeth were so messed up. I work in a casino. When I would laugh or engage with the players, I did it like this a lot. It's because I was embarrassed of my teeth. I don't think dentures were ever a solution. The only option for me was Clear Choice.
David was due for a complete reconstruction. Because we have the surgeon and the prosthodontist and the lab in one facility working together as a team, we can perform this procedure in one day.
The Clear Choice one-day approach is making dental implants a reality for people all over the country who suffer from missing or failing teeth.
The whole procedure was done in the same day. Had a beautiful smile.
Schedule your free consultation today. We'll even talk about financing options.
If I don't get at least 5 or 6 compliments a day at work, it wouldn't be normal. You go, wow, those teeth, they're gorgeous. It's all because of Clear Choice.
Call Clear Choice today.
A quiet town.
Cortland is pretty nice.
A local girl.
She always had a smile.
A shocking mystery. A horrifying crime that left police with questions until now. Justice for Jessica. Saturday night at 8.
Introducing FreePrints, the new free app that lets you get all those great photos off your iPhone or Android phone.
Rue has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. Together, we can end their walk by providing clean water. Because when you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
In the developing world today, 1 in 7 girls are forced to marry before their 15th birthday. Child Fund International works to prevent these marriages through education and training. Child Fund International. Learn more at childfund.org.
Your son wants to get a cat, but you're allergic.
Maybe he could be an outdoor cat that lives in our neighbor's yard, 3 doors down.
Mom! You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Anthony Bourdain Parts Unknown. New episodes Sundays at 9 on CNN.
So many lives changed the night of the Las Vegas massacre forever. One of them, Freddie Parrish. Freddie shielded his wife when the gunfire began. He took 3 shots himself, keeping her unharmed. I went back to the scene with Freddie where he shared his story of that night.
Right over there is the stage, and you were sort of right in that center area?
Yeah, I was front left.
When did you realize that it wasn't fireworks?
At first, I thought it was fireworks because the burst was so fast. And I turned to my wife and said, somebody just lit off some fireworks. But then the slower ta-ta-ta-ta-ta kept going after that. And at that point, Jason Aldean had started his 4 song, probably about 15 seconds into it, and he stopped singing. And then the lights went off on stage, and they took off running, and the shooting continued. And so I said to my wife, I said, get down. And so I wanted to lay down at an angle that I thought would keep her on the other side of me from where I believe the bullets were coming from. I didn't know if they were coming from the tower or from ground level in front of Mandalay Bay, but I knew they were coming from that direction.
You could tell the direction?
I could tell the direction by sound.
So when the shots started, that initial barrage, you pretty much immediately went down to protect your wife?
Yes, I wanted to get down for cover, and I wanted to get at an angle, the sound of the shots was coming from Mandalay Bay. So I wanted to get down for cover to where she was behind me. And we laid down, and then as I was laying there, I moved forward so she would be more, her head would be more behind me. And just as I moved forward, that's when I took the round into the shoulder. I had 2 other grazings that I think were ricochets that hit this shoulder, and across my neck. And I didn't even feel those. But my wife, when I said I'm hit, and when I said that, she looked up at me and she saw more fire coming off the AstroTurf that was next to us. And so that's when she said, "We've got to go now."
You could have saved her life.
That's what she said.
How does it feel here? I mean, looking up at that window and seeing that makes anybody sick to their stomach. It's hard to look, but for you, when you look up and see that, you were right there. You were right there.
Yeah, where we were standing it probably wasn't the best spot to be standing. Of course, we didn't know any better. We were, in the first few rounds that he was firing off, were right where we were at, you know. And it's just it's just weird. You don't think it's happening. You just don't realize that it's happening. And then, you know, when I got hit, you know, then I realized it, you know.
I know that you went back to work the next morning.
Yeah.
You were sent home.
Yeah.
But just the shock of this. But you have been back to work.
Yeah.
Even with the injuries that you have.
Yeah. Well, they didn't take the bullet out because they said it's lodged in. He didn't want to tear my shoulder up to get it out. I'll probably get a second opinion on that just to make sure. I do want to make sure that I can, you know, golf and ride my Harley and do the fun things that I like to do. Yeah.
So do you love waking up every day?
Yeah.
And I guess now you've got a new appreciation for that.
Yeah, life's short.
Next, praying for a miracle. A young woman shot in the eye, in a coma. Her mother is at her daughter's bedside tonight, trying to stay strong for her.
Just a beautiful smile. I can't talk about Tina.
And breaking news this hour, Robert Mueller interviewing the former spy who wrote the controversial Trump dossier. That's next.
Hi, I'm Jesse. And I'm Ben. We started Hubble because contact lenses are too expensive. At Hubble, our fresh daily contacts are affordable and delivered straight to you. Get your first 2 weeks free at HubbleContacts.com.
Knowing where you stand has never been easier, except when it comes to retirement. At Fidelity, you get a retirement score in just 60 seconds, and we'll help you make decisions for your plan to keep you on track. It's your retirement. Know where you stand.
Sandals. More quality inclusions than any other resorts on the planet. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
Europe is in chaos. Germany will rise. We think he's planning an attack.
She wants to swing the election in her favor.
We're off the books on this.
Deutschland. Deutschland. Deutschland.
We have a problem.
Let's go, let's go.
He says there are no friends in espionage.
Berlin Station returns October 15th, only on Epix.
Your call is now first in line and will be answered by the next available representative. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for holding. How may I assist you?
Hi, yes. We were just broken into, and we need a home security system.
Oh, sorry, wrong department. Please hold.
The best home security isn't hard to get. With SimpliSafe, you can get comprehensive, professionally monitored home security online without the hold time or runaround. Anyone can set up SimpliSafe in under an hour. There are no tools needed. Just open the box, plug it in, and your family's protected around the clock. Each SimpliSafe system is a thoughtfully assembled security arsenal. From entry and motion sensors to a high-definition security camera, you'll have everything you need to keep your family safe. If someone tries to break in, you can see what happened right on your phone. Our monitoring center will call to make sure you're safe and immediately dispatch police to your home.
All clear. Alarm must have scared him off.
SimpliSafe's professional security is so reliable, it was named Central Station of the Year. And with SimpliSafe, 24/7 protection is just $15 a month. There are no long-term contracts or commitments, so you're free to start or cancel monitoring when you need to. CNET called SimpliSafe Comprehensive, Easy-to-Use Protection, naming it Editor's Choice for home security. And it has over 30,000 five-star reviews on Google. Each system comes with a 60-day risk-free guarantee. Order now or pick SimpliSafe up at Best Buy today. You'll feel safe at home or your money back. Start protecting your home today. Go to GetSimpliSafe.com.
Whoa, this looks worse than I thought.
Mike and Jen Doyle?
Yeah.
Time for Medicare, huh?
I have no idea how we're going to get through this.
Follow me. Choosing a plan can be super complicated, but it doesn't have to be. United Healthcare can guide you through the confusion with helpful people, tools, and plans, including the only plans with the AARP name.
Well, that wasn't so bad at all.
That's how we like it.
AARP Medicare plans from United Healthcare.
Tonight, in one hospital in Las Vegas, 45 people remain hospitalized. That's the Sunrise Hospital and Medical Center. 23 of them are in critical condition still tonight. And there are many more in other hospitals across Las Vegas. Tina Frost is one of the victims. She is fighting for her life tonight. She lost her right eye in the rampage, and she is now in a coma. We spoke to her mother, who has not left her side and is praying for a miracle for her child. Scott McLean is out front.
She has her whole life in front of her, and with one incident, we have a nightmare.
For Mary Moreland, the Sunrise Hospital in Las Vegas has been a dark place. Sunday night, her 27-year-old daughter, Tina Frost, was at the Route 91 Harvest Festival with friends and her boyfriend, Austin, when bullets started flying. Tina was shot near her eye. She's been in a coma since that night.
It's very hard. When I first saw her, it was all I could do to keep composed. But she's a fighter, and it doesn't matter what she looks like. It matters in here. So we're coping.
In the chaotic aftermath, an unidentified concert goer Moreland knows only as Shane helped Austin carry her into the back of a pickup truck that took her to the hospital.
What do you want to say to him?
Thank you for saving my daughter's life.
Frost lost her eye, Moreland says, and there are still bullet fragments in her head.
Unfortunately, some people may not ever recover, but in some of the people, you know, I would say that, you know, give it a year.
Originally from Maryland, Frost now works as an accountant in San Diego. Her sister says she had it all.
Even growing up, I mean, I kind of use the phrase she was a little bit of an all-American girl, you know, she just always has a ton of friends. Did well on the soccer field, played college soccer, you know, moved to California as an accountant. I mean, she has a very good life.
As Frost's family prays for good news, they're not alone. A GoFundMe page has already raised more than $390,000, more than 7 times the original goal.
I'd throw it all away to have my daughter. It's overwhelming.
And Aaron, Frost's mother wanted to make sure to get across just how grateful her family is for the outpouring of support and also for the doctors, nurses, and staff at the hospital. She also really wants to find Shane to personally thank him for what he did. Now, as you said, there are still 23 patients, Frost is one of them, listed in critical condition here at Sunrise Hospital. And so even 4 days after this shooting, it is possible that the number of fatalities could still rise. Aaron.
Scott, thank you, and our prayers go out for her. And next, we go to the White House. We have some breaking news from the president speaking out just moments ago.
I'll have the langoustine lobster ravioli.
For you, sir?
The original call!
was for langoustine ravioli. Langoustine is a tiny kind of lobster. Slight shellfish allergy rules that out. Plus, my wife ordered the langoustine. I will have chicken tenders and tater tots.
If you're a ref, you way over-explain things. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico.
Sir, we don't have tater tots.
It's what you do.
I will have nachos.
Join me on a journey to explore the stories that make us human. Do you think that justice and revenge are different?
How can you hate me when you don't even know me?
All of us have a complicated way of identifying who we are.
Seeking the common bonds that define humanity.
The Story of Us with Morgan Freeman premieres Wednesday at 9 on National Geographic.
Chiru has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. Together, we can end their walk by providing clean water. Because when you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org. Chiru has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. Together, we can end their walk by providing clean water. Because when you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund Reading.
Why do you not get me?
I do. This is what it feels like for kids with learning and attention issues. Redirecting to understood.org.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Breaking news moments ago, President Trump addressing cameras at the White House, flanked by his commanders.
You guys know what this represents? Well, maybe it's the calm before the storm. Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm, Mr. President?
We have the world's great military people in this room. I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Flanked by his military commanders. Ryan Nobles is out front at the White House. And Ryan, pretty disturbing comment while surrounded, of course, by his military leaders, Secretary of Defense, National Security Advisor, all of his generals, McMaster, Mattis. There are, of course, a lot of issues right now on that front. We're talking about Iran. We're talking about North Korea. But he says, we'll see. He'll let us know.
Yeah, Aaron, I think the best way to describe this comment by the president today is that it leaves things very murky. We don't know exactly what he is referring to at a time when there are a number of foreign policy challenges that this administration is up against. You mentioned, of course, the situation in North Korea, but also a big issue that's on the table right now is the situation with Iran. Will the White House continue to be a part of the Iran nuclear deal that was hatched during the Obama administration? We have reporting today that suggests that the administration is ready to decertify the deal, which would essentially send the decision back to Congress, and then they would have 60 days to decide whether or not the U.S. should stay in or out. And the sense that you get from many Republicans in Congress is that they don't want to be a part of this deal. And then, of course, the situation in North Korea is very unstable as well. And the president himself has been very aggressive in his language as it relates to North Korea, while his advisors around him, many of them in that room today, have talked about diplomacy. So we don't exactly know what storm he is talking about. Right. But Aaron, as you heard him say, we'll find out. Right.
And certainly one thing we do know is right now the American people would like some calm from their president, not calm before a storm. Also breaking tonight, Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. Two sources familiar telling CNN that Mueller's investigators met over the summer with that former British spy, a crucial player here. He's the man who wrote that controversial dossier on alleged Russian efforts to help the Trump campaign collusion in the presidential election. It's a dossier Trump and his aides have repeatedly insisted is a work of fiction. Evan Perez broke the story along with our Shimon Prokupecz and Pamela Brown. Evan joins me now. And Evan, what more can you tell us?
Well, Aaron, we now know that investigators working with Special Counsel Robert Mueller met this summer with Christopher Steele. Steele, as you remember, is the former MI6 officer who put together what many now call the dossier. Really, it was a series of memos detailing alleged Russian efforts to aid Donald Trump's presidential campaign. Steele was hired by a Washington firm, paid first by anti-Trump Republicans and then Democrats. The special counsel is now trying to determine whether any of the series of contacts between Trump campaign associates and suspected Russian operatives broke U.S. law. Now, we don't know what information Steele may have provided to Mueller's team, but we do know that Steele has previously provided the FBI with information to try to verify some of the sources he put together for this dossier. Well, most of the salacious allegations in the dossier haven't been verified. His broad assertion that Russia waged a campaign to interfere in the election is now accepted as fact by the U.S. intelligence community, Aaron.
So, Evan, look, we both know, everyone knows there were a lot of questions about how legitimate the information in that dossier was, right? FBI, CIA, investigative reporters, all were trying to confirm whether any of it was true. Where does that stand right now, as far as you know?
Well, we know that late last year, we've now learned that the top officials at the FBI and CIA, as well as the Director of National Intelligence, discussed actually including parts of the Steele dossier in the official intelligence document on Russian meddling. Now, the sources who talked to us told us that the intelligence community didn't want to include it because they didn't want to explain what parts of the dossier they had actually been able to corroborate. They also, Aaron, were concerned about revealing sources and met. The then FBI Director James Comey was worried that if the FBI alone presented the dossier allegations, that the then president-elect would view the information as an attempt by the FBI to hold leverage over him. As we now know, when Comey briefed Trump in January, that's exactly what ended up happening. President Trump later told the New York Times in July that he thought Comey was trying to use the dossier as leverage over him. Aaron?
All right, Evan Perez, thank you very much. Obviously, a very significant development there. The context, obviously crucial. Mueller being able to speak to the man who wrote that dossier, something Congress and investigators there have so far failed to do. And obviously, what he has to say, very central as this investigation moves forward. Thanks so much to all of you for joining us. Don't forget, you can watch Out Front anytime, anywhere. All you have to do is go to CNN Go. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
That someone by the same name as the shooter rented a hotel room overlooking Chicago's Grant Park in August at the same time that the Lollapalooza, a music festival, was going on. We don't know if it's the same person. They just happen to have the same name. That person never showed up, but it certainly is chilling to think that the shooter might have been going around casing and scouting out all these different music venues.
In terms of the investigation, has there been any more said about the note that was that appears in that photograph in the hotel room?
Right. In that photograph, very clearly there was a note that was left. The only thing that we know from the police yesterday, they haven't even given a press conference today, was that it's not a suicide note. When the coroner was asked about it, the coroner's office said they don't have any more information about how the shooter died, that it's part of the ongoing investigation. We do know that the shooter died of a self-inflicted wound. But we are also being told by the police that the plan might not have been to initially commit suicide in that hotel room up there on the 32nd floor, but rather to try to escape alive.
The FBI has been pretty tight-lipped about what they learned from interviewing the girlfriend. Have any new details come out?
Very tight-lipped. They're really not saying anything. We do know that Mary Lou Danley, the girlfriend of the shooter, came back to the U.S. from the Philippines. She is now in Los Angeles being questioned by the FBI. She told the FBI that she had been sent overseas by her boyfriend, the shooter, to visit her family, that he had sent her money to buy herself and her family a home in the Philippines, and she took that as an indication that he might be breaking up with her. But she denies knowing anything about this massacre. She said in a statement, "He never said anything to me or took any act that I was aware of, that I understood in any way to be a warning that something horrible is going to happen." So little indication right now, Anderson, that we're any closer to learning the motive of the shooter.
Alex, I appreciate that. Authorities have laid out a timeline for what happened when on Sunday night, showing that police first breached the gunman's suite an hour and 15 minutes after he started shooting, but long after he had actually stopped shooting. As the investigation continues, we wanted to take a look at how the shooter's vantage point on the 32nd floor may have played into the way things happened. Brian Todd tonight has more.
The one thing Las Vegas police say they are convinced of in this investigation is that the gunman's horrific attack on the Route 91 Country Music Festival was a very meticulously planned assault.
The man who spent decades acquiring weapons and ammo and living a secret life.
That planning, experts say, began with the sniper's nest he selected at the Mandalay Bay and the targets he chose below. CNN got access to a room at the Mandalay Bay Hotel, 2 floors up from the shooters, with a similar view. From the room, you can see the shooter's broken hotel window, his line of sight to the concert venue.
This is my first time being up here and looking at this, and to me it's very eerie.
John Sheehan is a retired Las Vegas police sergeant, spent 13 years on the SWAT team. From this vantage point, he says, he has a clearer picture of the shooter's tactics and his planning, including choosing a high room at the end of a hallway.
He requested an east-facing room. He requests an east-facing room because if we pan over and we look to the east of where his room is, let's look, the tower is over there, there's the room that he shot from, and now we pan east and we look, and there is no way to get a counter sniper, a SWAT sniper, up at a level position to be able to effectively take this man out.
And firing from a room like the one we're in, if you knock out this window and fire toward him, that doesn't work.
We still wouldn't be able to see him, more than likely, because we're not seeing deep enough into the room, and only when he fires will we be able to see him.
Sheehan says the choice of room put the SWAT team at a disadvantage, one multiplied by the fact that he blocked the stairwell door and wired the hallway with cameras so he could see a security guard and later police approaching.
Because of his countermeasures placed in the peephole in the hallway, he observed the security guard, and he was in fear that he was about to be breached. So he was doing everything possible to figure out how he could escape at that point.
But Sheehan says if the shooter could have gotten away, it wouldn't have been for very long.
There's one of 3 ways that it's going to end for an active shooter, and they pretty much all know this. You're either going to commit suicide, you're going to die in a hail of gunfire with the police, you're going to shoot it out with them and you're going to be killed, or you're going to continue on a pre-planned rampage at locations B, C, D, and E until the police stop you.
So you don't believe escape meant escape for good, just to
Brian, how could it? How could it? Because he rented the room in his own name. He's already on video coming in and out. We know who he is. He's going to be the most wanted man in the world if he does try to leave here.
Brian joins me now. What are the specific indications you're getting from law enforcement about why the shooter may have wanted to try to escape from the room?
Well, Anderson, they're giving indications regarding the material in the shooter's car, and that gives you a sense that he may have wanted to continue his rampage. Police say that he left 50 pounds of explosives and 1,600 rounds of ammunition in his vehicle. Now, that former SWAT team member we spoke to, John Sheehan, says that tells him that this gunman likely intended to continue his rampage at other locations and maybe plan to be taken out by police at some later time.
Brian Todd, a fascinating reporter. I appreciate it. Joining me now are CNN law enforcement analyst and former U.S. Marshals Assistant Director Art Roderick, CNN counterterrorism analyst Philip Mudd, formerly of the FBI and CIA, and forensic psychologist Chris Mohandy. Phil, what do you make of that note? I mean, the police are saying they don't believe it's a suicide note.
Well, they know what it is because they've read it. Look at a couple of characteristics here. One is how meticulous he was in his gambling habits. We've seen his family talking about how he played the odds all the time in life. Someone who's fastidious about determining what the odds are on the slots. Same thing with the preparation for this event. He's got the cameras in the hallway. He's got a variety of weapons. He's got angles in the room that were preordained to ensure that he had the right access to the venue. This is a guy who goes from A to B to C and never skips a step. My point is, I think that what's in that note is not a suicide note. It's something related to his operational plan to ensure he stayed on plan, including potentially maybe he's saying, this is how I execute the operation and this is how I get out. This is a guy who steps through every piece of the operation, maybe writes it down to ensure he doesn't forget a step.
Although, I mean, just the planning of this, you know, this is not a guy who has extensive military training or anything. You know, Phil, during the break, was saying he'd like to see his Google searches, which is something the FBI has access to. I mean, you wonder, how did he learn how to do all this stuff?
I would also like to see his library, not only Google searches, but his library to see what books he's been reading. Because when you look at that position that he set up in that room, that's a sniper's post, and he stayed far enough back from the room. If you watch that video that we've all seen, you cannot see any muzzle flashes coming out of that window, which means he was far enough back that the muzzle flashes could not be seen. And that's what snipers do. It's not just that you're a good shot, it's where you pick your spot to shoot from so that you can't be detected. The other scary thing is, what's he doing with those explosives in his vehicle? Did he plan on shooting that? We don't exactly know where the vehicle was positioned, but I talked to some people today that are explosives ordnance experts, and they told me that just that 50 pounds of tannerite would have created a good-sized crater. Now add that on, and we haven't heard how much of the ammonium nitrate was there, but that would have triggered that ammonium nitrate and the 1,600 rounds. That would have created quite an explosion in something that would have distracted everybody from what he was doing.
Which, I mean, the Columbine killers had planned to have explosions going off as well as a distraction. Whether that's
San Bernardino too. Remember all the pipe bombs they had there too. So,
Chris, I mean, authorities have also said they believe the shooter intended to survive, doing everything he could to see how he could escape. Does that offer you any insight into this person's mindset, or how does that impact the investigation?
You know, I don't think he really had any plans on ultimately surviving. I agree with the other opinions that there's only 3 different ways these things end: either an immediate suicide, a suicide by cop, or, you know, eventually it's all going to come apart in some sort of hail of gunfire. I believe that this goes a lot deeper, though, than, you know, current events and planning. I mean, he was 13 years old when the Texas Tower sniper event happened. He would have been very impacted by that. I think he's got a long-standing history of fantasizing about this stuff, and I think it goes all the way back to August 1st of 1966, probably his first thoughts about it, honestly.
Which is really the only other time that law enforcement has had to deal with a kind of a sniper shooting down from this high vantage point, right?
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, you look at this, there are elements of this that we're talking about, and I think that Texas Tower comment is critical, that are important from an investigative standpoint. And that is the key question of whether someone knows something that's materially relevant to the investigation. All the public commentary is, how do we not know what motivated him? I'm looking at this saying, let me get this straight. Someone participated in culture. He had a girlfriend. He was in contact with his family. He had a successful business life. Over the course of months, he acquires weapons and years weapons. He looks at separate targets. He looks at how to employ these kind of tactics to successfully kill this many people. The likelihood that someone is spending that amount of time contacting that number of people with all the information we're seeing about everything from Chicago to Las Vegas, and nobody knows anything about motivation. I'm going to tell you one thing, Anderson. The FBI already is seeing information about motivation because of the variety of contacts he had over time. They're just not talking to us about it.
You're saying there's no doubt somebody else had some sort of window into or hints of what was happening.
That's right. I think the questions have been too quickly, for example, on the girlfriend. Does she know something, or is she complicit in the attack? There's a middle ground. Over the course of 6 years, did he say something that gave an indication about change in mindset? And the answer's got to be yes.
I mean, anybody who's involved with somebody for a long period of time, I mean, she must know at the very least, whether or not she knew anything about the specific planning, about grudges he held or opinions he held or fantasies he had or whatever.
I mean, he purchased these 33 firearms since October of last year. So, I mean, he was doing a lot of things in that time frame. He was buying ammonium nitrate. He was getting tannerite. She had to know something.
Chris, you agree with that? Whether it's the specific plot whether she knew that or not, but just having spent years with this person, you get a sense of, oh, this person has this grudge against, you know, whatever it may be.
Exactly. There'll be grudges that she and other people will be aware of, things that he fantasized about, ideas that he was sympathetic to, who he identified with, how he viewed his own father being on the run, for example. There's going to be all these different pieces that are being put together by the FBI and other law enforcement agencies. It's just going to take them a little bit of time to assemble, you know, a variety of different information from different sources. But I agree. I believe that the motivation will become apparent, and they're working on it, and it will eventually come out.
I want to thank everybody on their panel. Among the heroes on the night of the shooting, hospital doctors and nurses that are still right now working tirelessly to keep alive those in their care who were wounded in the shooting. An update next from one hospital. Also, Tropical Storm Nate heading toward the Gulf could soon hit hurricane status. A state of emergency declared in several locations. We'll show you how big, how powerful, and where in the U.S. This storm may be headed. Answers from the Weather Center ahead.
Anderson Cooper 360, brought to you by Victoria and Abdul. Starring Academy Award winner Judi Dench. In theaters everywhere this Friday.
Abdul, you will travel to England, to the royal household.
Your Majesty.
The New York Times cheers. Victoria and Abdul is funny. 4 stars. It's terrifically entertaining. An extraordinary film.
Life is a big adventure.
People magazine declares it's a people's pick, and Rolling Stone hails Judi Dench is a royal pleasure.
More!
Victoria and Abdul, rated PG-13.
Chevy is the most awarded car company 3 years in a row.
Really?
Let's see how quickly you can read through all their awards.
2017 Motor Trend Car of the Year.
Kelley Blue Book 2016 Best Resale Value.
US News Best Car for the Money. 10 Best blah blah blah.
2015. Only about 90 more to go. That's a lot of awards.
Get 20% below MSRP on most 2017 Malibu, Cruise, and Trax models. That's over $7,000 on this Chevy Malibu. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Recently, you may have been notified that your personal information was compromised as part of a data breach.
Research shows that you are 11 times more likely to be a victim of identity fraud. Now is the time to get protection.
Although your information may have been taken, it may not have been used fraudulently. Sign up today and LifeLock will begin monitoring your personal information, including your social security number, alert you about suspicious activity, and, if needed, take steps to help restore your identity.
Membership starts at $9.99 per month. Sign up today. LifeLock.
I'm lying in this bed of leaves, looking great in this outfit, and feeling great about what I paid for it at Stein Mart.
Save up to an extra 50% off our already low prices during our Columbus Day sale, now through Monday at Stein Mart. Saving is a beautiful thing.
We live in an age of dynasties. Who else can you trust to run the family business? Except family. Bite me, Crystal.
Call me Mom.
Dynasty. Series premiere this Wednesday at 9, 8 Central on the CW.
Hey, hon. We gotta go. Come on.
Thanks, Mom. Principal, we can help you plan for that.
When you have a cold, stuff happens. Shut down cold symptoms fast with maximum strength Alka-Seltzer Plus liquid gels.
When it comes to heartburn, trust the brand doctors trust for themselves. Nexium 24-Hour is the #1 choice of doctors and pharmacists for their own frequent heartburn and all-day, all-night protection. When it comes to frequent heartburn, trust Nexium 24-Hour.
Wow, Wayfair has everything.
Drop the mic. Everything I need? I'm done. Drop the mic. Everything I need. Everything I like. Wayfair. Drop the mic.
Everything home, all in one place. So get it done. Visit Wayfair.com today.
The families of the 58 people killed in Las Vegas are the newest members of a growing group that no one should ever have to be in. People whose loved ones were murdered in mass shootings in America. In a moment, we're going to hear from Sandy Phillips. Her 24-year-old daughter, Jessica Gowie, was one of the 12 people who were killed in a shooting at a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado 5 years ago. Jessie, as her mom called her, was finishing her college degree, looking forward to a job interview and for her mother to come visit. She called her mom her best friend. After the shooting that killed Jessie, I spoke with her brother, Jordan Gowie, and he made a point about the names that we remember and the ones that we don't. And I think it's such an important point. I just want to play you what Jordan said to me just days after the shooting in July of 2012.
I want the word out about my sister, her life, and what had happened as soon as possible, but I also don't want the media to be saturated with the shooter's name. The more airtime that these victims have, the less time that man gets his 2 seconds on television. I want the victims to be remembered rather than this coward.
I think you raised such an important point, and I mean, I said it just actually about 10 minutes ago. I really don't want to even use this guy's name very much because I just don't think it should be known a month from now, you know, a week from now, or even tomorrow. I think it should be forgotten. And since then, we've had a policy of not naming the shooter since Jordan opened my eyes to that idea. Jessica's life was cut short. Her mom, Sandy Phillips, has become an activist in the fight against gun violence and meets with victims' families. I spoke with her earlier. Sandy, the people you're talking to, the people who have lost loved ones, at this stage, do they realize how their lives have forever changed now?
Absolutely not. They're in shock. They don't understand how this could have happened, not only to them, but how this could have happened where they were, in the city they were in, the country that they live in. They're totally baffled and in total shock.
I think one of the things that's so important about what you do, not only is sort of, you know, as a voice from somebody who has experienced this firsthand with the murder of your daughter, of Jessica, but to kind of give them a sense of what to expect, not just in the coming days, but in the coming weeks and months and years. Because it's often, I feel like adrenaline sort of gets people through the first couple of days, but it's once they go back home and their loved one is gone and, you know, their friends gradually, you know, go back to their lives and the world continues to spin forward, that they're left with a completely different life.
Totally different life, and you're right. They go home and quite often they lose friends. Some of us even lose family members that don't want to be close to us anymore because we're totally new people. And that again, it confuses them. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to be with us. So we know that this is a family that these people have joined, and they don't know it. It's a family of survivors across the nation that are always there for them.
You know, I met your son Jordan in the wake of Aurora, and it was really Jordan who sort of opened my eyes to this notion of not naming the killers and not giving them the attention that so many of them want. And in fact, we should remember the names of your daughter Jessica Gowie and the names of people whose lives were taken as opposed to the person who took their lives. Can you just explain to people why that is so important to you?
Well, first of all, I remember the day of our shooting, and I remember turning on CNN and seeing the killer's face and his name and the face and the name and the face and the name over and over and over again. And it was so traumatizing and re-victimizing. So then we met with the FBI, and the FBI told us about their program of Don't Name. And in the meantime, Jordan had challenged you, can you get through the interview without naming the killer or showing his face? And I think when the media understands that when you do keep reinforcing the name and the picture, that you're hurting anyone who is in that theater or on the grounds of this concert, you're re-victimizing those people, and you're also contributing to the contagion effect that the next mass killer is watching and learning. So we're very proud of the No Notoriety and the work that Jordan started, and Karen and Tom Teves have continued, and Lonnie and I support, and we're very, very grateful, Anderson, for your support on that and how you every time you follow no notoriety rules, and that's a real crowning achievement to all of us that work with victims and survivors.
Well, I certainly hope it's something that more people take up and more people in this business take up, because it just, I don't know, to me it just seems so obvious. Once Jordan said it to me, it just, and you know, I don't know, it's changed the way I think about this and approach it. And what else do you want people to know about what these families are going through, and what they face, and what you're doing right now?
Well, a lot of the victims and survivors from other mass shootings have put together a fund that is called the National Compassion Fund. And that fund has over 120 other victims and survivors from other mass shootings that signed on to make sure that when funds are being collected, that they're not going to other charities, that they're actually going to have money collected for the victims and survivors and given to the victims and survivors. So we've had that work at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando. We've had it work in Chattanooga. And we've only been doing this for a short time, only a few years, and now we believe we're the only victim-sourced charity in the country that makes sure that 100% of the funds that are collected go back to the victims and survivors, because they have so much that they're facing.
How do people donate to it?
They can go right to the National Compassion Fund and donate directly to it. There's also a GoFundMe page here in Las Vegas GoFundMe, and they have already agreed that every penny they collect they will put into the National Compassion Fund.
Well, Sandy, it's such an honor to talk to you, and I keep in touch with Jordan and have since Aurora, and I'm just so happy to finally actually talk to you face to face, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
And that's the nationalcompassionfund.org, which helps the victims of the survivors of those who lost their lives in Las Vegas and other mass shootings. There has been so much focus on the timeline. Just how long did the shooter take to plan this horrific act? We're learning new details tonight from someone who spoke to the gunman 2 months before the attack. Kyung La joins us now with that part of the story. So I understand you spoke with the shooter's, someone who knew the shooter.
Someone who cut his hair, and she has not spoken out publicly before. This is the very first time we're hearing from Callie Big. She's a woman who was a hairdresser at Great Clips in Mesquite, Nevada. That is where the gunman had his primary residence. She says between 2015 and 2017, she did cut his hair. He came in 3 different times. Other people in the salon did see him there, and they confirmed that Callie Big is indeed his hairdresser. 2 months before the rampage is the very last time she saw him, and she says that the visits weren't particularly remarkable. She didn't see any red flags. She did find him to be memorable, in part because of that last visit. Again, 2 months before the rampage, he told her that he was planning on sending his girlfriend to the Philippines and he was going to be alone. Here's what he told her.
Do you remember the last time you saw him?
Yes, I remember the last time I saw him. The last time I saw him was probably only 2 months ago. It was just about 2 months ago. He came in and he got his hair cut, and again, smelled of alcohol. And his girlfriend was with him, and again, just kind of doing her thing. And he sat down and was telling me about her leaving to go to the Philippines, and he was going to be home alone hanging out for a while by himself. But you know, it wasn't anything weird, or it wasn't anything that seemed off.
And you know how intimate your relationship is with your hairdresser and how close they get